Basic network setting. As long as you want to access the system from web browser, it is necessary to let the system have IP address, netmask, and default gateway set correctly. However, there are many variant methods in the world to achieve that goal. We will introduce how to bring up the machine on the internet. On the other hand, this system can also provide similar methods to let the other machines inside LAN to have correct network configuration information. It will be introduced in the following sections as well. The server is designed to have multiple Ethernet interfaces. The first Ethernet interface, known as ETH0, will be designated as Internet Interface that is used to connect to the outside network if the firewall is present. And the second Ethernet interface, ETH1, will be used to connect to the inside network, known as LAN interface, that is protected by the firewall. For the IP address of ETH0 in the server, it shall be a fixed IP address for the other people to access the server without ambiguity. For the convenience of initial setup of the server from web interface, we still provide the methods for fetching IP address automatically via DHCP client or PPPoE. The system is preset to launch DHCP client on the Ethernet interface ETH0. Once the network is up for you to use the web browser to access the server, you should disable auto setup and specify the IP address. WAN interface setting. How to set IP address for WAN interface, the Ethernet interface connecting to internet. It can be done via a system network WAN. And it also depends on the service you order from your internet service provider, ISP. On this system, you should use static IP address. But we still provide other options. There are 3 options for ETH0 to get an IP address: 1 via DHCP client, 1 of auto setup options, 2 via PPPoE, 1 of auto setup options, 3 static IP address. Manually setting it, you only can choose one of them. If PPPoE is used, DHCP client and static IP will not be used. If static IP is used, the other 2 will not be used. When you select auto setup, you also need to specify the method you would like to use to fetch IP address, DHCP client or PPPoE. Once DHCP or PPPoE is chosen, the system will ignore the rest of items like IP address, netmask, default gateway, and DNS server in this menu. While using DHCP client, the parameters for IP address, netmask, default gateway, and DNS server will be obtained from DHCP server residing in the subnet that ETH0 is listening to. As for PPPoE, it is necessary to fill in the corresponding data in the PPPoE page. What is IP aliasing? IP aliasing is the feature such that one Ethernet interface can have multiple IP addresses. It also can be set via a system network WAN. Usually, those multiple aliasing IP addresses should sit in the same subnet as the major IP address specified previously on ETH0. It does not make sense that you specify an IP address that it does not belong to the subnet it resides unless your subnets are not well partitioned. We quickly introduce the concept of subnet here without going into too many details. For an IPv4 address, you usually see something like 61.2.34.56 or 192.168.1.34. Actually, it stands for a 32-bit binary stream, namely 1.2.3.4 rightward arrow 0.0000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000kw each 0 or 1 in the notation above is known as a bit. To know a group of IP addresses belonging to the same subset, you just perform bitwise AND operation for IP address and netmask and check if the result is the same. If the result is the same, we say this group of addresses belonging to the same subnet. To explain what an operation is, we just specify in the following manner: 0 and 0 rightward arrow 0 0 and 1 rightward arrow 0 1 and 0 rightward arrow 0 1 and 1 rightward arrow 1 IP address 1.2.3.4 with netmask 255.255.255.255.255.255.00000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000 rightward arrow 00000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000h we just denote the subnet as 1.2.3.0/24 because there are 24 1s on the netmask. A valid netmask is with consecutive 1s from the beginning. Thus, you do not have to worry about how to put those 24 1s in those 32 positions. IP aliasing can be combined with port forwarding feature in border control to distribute the traffic into several servers for processing. The features of border control will be introduced later. PPPoE Setup. What is PPPoE? Sometimes ISP will ask you to use PPPoE to obtain IP address to be used on internet. It depends on the service you order from ISP. PPPoE stands for Point-to-Point Protocol over Ethernet. Usually, it is used by DSL service providers to control the access on their network. Usually, the MTU for Ethernet is 1500 bytes. But the PPPoE overhead plus 2 bytes of overhead for the encapsulated PPP frame implies the MTU of the PPP interface is 1492 bytes at most. To play safe, it would be better for the machines behind the server to have lower MTU values to go through this interface via PPPoE. The DSL service providers should provide the account and the password so that you can enter the data on system network PPPoE, for example, PPPoE account, my account at myprovider.net password, the password of the account DNS server, 206.13.28.12 MTU setting, 1492 bytes. LAN and DHCP to set IP addresses for those LAN interfaces, it can be done via System Network Ethernet/DHCP. The first Ethernet interface ETH0 is known as the interface connecting to the outside network. The second Ethernet interface ETH1 is used to connect the local network. Sometimes, we just designate it as LAN. You also can put multiple Ethernet interfaces into a bridge, and set the IP address for that bridge device as well. In this case, those Ethernet interfaces in the bridge no longer have IP addresses. It is necessary to set IP addresses on LAN interfaces. If DHCP server on this interface is turned on, the machines on that subnet can obtain their IP addresses from this server if they have DHCP clients running respectively. The IP addresses assigned to those machines will be in the range specified here. Please remember, on each subnet, there shall be only one DHCP server running on it. If there are more than one DHCP servers running on the same network, you cannot guarantee where the DHCP clients obtain their own IP addresses from a specific DHCP server. And usually, some other network settings are populated with DHCP. If there exist multiple DHCP servers on the same subnet, there might cause some impacts on the network setting of DHCP clients from fetching the wrong information from wrong server. Example, IP addresses for DHCP clients. This is an example to set IP address pool for DHCP clients. Navigate via System Network Ethernet/DHCP, and set as follows: IP address, 172.16.9.1 netmask, 255.255.255.0 turn on DHCP server, on, starting IP, 172.16.9.100 ending IP, 172.16.9.200 since DHCP server is turned up on the interface ETH1, if host A, B, and C are with DHCP clients running respectively, each of them will obtain an IP address between 172.16.9.100 and 172.16.9.200. Furthermore, it needs to be very careful when you configure the network. Many people made mistakes by using conflicting address for LAN with respect to outside network. For example, if your outside network, WAN, is 172.16.9.0/24, your LAN shall be configured by avoiding this class of IP addresses. It is very important to remember this principle to avoid network conflict. This is a common mistake when you are using firewall to separate the network between your office and lab, or deploying a wireless access point into the existing network. It happens very often when you temporarily put your machine temporarily over an existing network and configure it there and move it to other place. We will elaborate that later. If DHCP server is not turned on, then the ETH1 interface turns out to be an ordinary Ethernet interface. Please notice that DHCP client is not running on this interface ETH1 so that it does not fetch the IP address from other DHCP server. If you want to turn off DHCP server on this interface, you always need to make sure that you choose the right IP address for ETH1. There is a chance that you might deploy the server into private network to separate the traffic. Please refer to the case separate the traffic between office and lab in the section deployment issues at the end of this document. If your machine is with two Ethernet interfaces, during the initial setup, the firewall will be up automatically. When you set IP address for ETH0 and ETH1, you have to be carefully without letting them belong to the same network. For example, if ETH0 belongs to 192.168.1.0/24, you should not set ETH1 to IP address belonging to that network. Instead, you should set ETH1 to something else like 172.16.2.1 so that it will not conflict with IP address using by other machine in 192.168.1.0/24. It is also possible to put several Ethernet ports into an Ethernet bridge and all of those Ethernet ports are sharing the same IP address. Traffic among those Ethernet ports in the same bridge are forwarded in bridge mode. In general, the decision logic to forward traffic in layer 2, e.g. Ethernet, is called bridging. The decision to forward traffic in layer 3, e.g. IP layer, is called routing. How to put multiple Ethernet interfaces into a bridge. Via a system network Ethernet/DHCP, you can decide whether to use bridge or not. Once you enable it, you also need to set IP address for the bridge and determine if DHCP server should be running on it.